Hi folks, welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. Well, it's my first kind of regular normal video right after our big expo that we had, and let me tell you, it was an exciting event and I am dog tired. I'm not really sure what dog tired means, but you know, it's a saying that people use, so I'll use it. My dog, I don't know that it's ever tired because he never does anything. But anyways, we had an amazing two-day event here fairly close to me, you know, not in my area, and we had several hundred people each day, hundreds of people each day come to this event, and let me tell you, it was a great thing. It was successful, especially in the sense that this was our first time, and we didn't really promote it a lot, and it was kind of done as a trial run just to see if this would kind of catch on. And I think it proved that it will, and so we'll see more of that. I'll give just an update, a little update in this video, and then I'll be doing a full after action report later on this evening on my Patreon channel. I also want to mention that well, we had t-shirt sales, of course you do at these kind of events, and the company and their business owned by some very dear friends of ours. It's just a mom and pop type of business, and they're called graftedindesign.com, and this is one of their t-shirts right here, but they made the t-shirts for our event, so we'd sure love it if you'd go over to their channel. There were other t-shirt vendors there, and I will mention them in other videos because they are some pretty awesome people also. And come to find out, the vendors that were there selling their t-shirts and the ones that we got that ours from, they actually know each other or have purchased each other's t-shirts. So it's a pretty cool thing. And then I want to talk today about some other coincidences going on in the supply chain, and maybe it's just my, you know, tinfoil hat wearing conspiracy mind, but it could be something. So I want to cover that, and it has to do with the rail system. But this event that we had, you know, the first day it rained, and it was funny because 3 or 4 months ago, when we really started kind of ramping up of deciding to do this, I started checking like long range weather, even checked the almanac, and did that all up until the point that it was kind of past the point of no return, and it always showed that it was going to be nice and clear. And in fact, a week prior to the event, I was checking the weather and it showed again that it was going to be clear. But that first day it rained just about the entire day. Now, it wasn't a monsoon rain, but it was just that kind of annoying rain, you know, that kind of light rain that just doesn't let up. But people still got out. We had well over 300 people that first day in attendance. And we had lots of vendors, and we had speakers lined up pretty much every hour for the entire event. And then the second day was just absolutely beautiful. Started off a little cloudy, but it cleared off, and we had an absolute beautiful day that afternoon, and a bunch more people. I didn't really get a number that second time, but it was at least as many the first day, if not more. And there were a lot of new faces the second day also. And we had some new vendors the second day, and a bunch more speakers the second day. And the main thing that I was excited about is that people were able to just take the time to network, to get to know each other, to talk, to share ideas, to make those contacts. And there were people there from all over. I mean, people from Tennessee, from New Jersey, from Florida, California, Texas, and I know I'm missing several other states because I hope that I was able to talk to everyone, but there were people from all over. We did have kind of a special guest that just showed up, and I wasn't expecting it, and it was a very nice treat. But Pastor Joe Fox from Viking Preparedness and his wonderful wife, Sister Kate, showed up, and they were there pretty much both days. They had to leave a little early because, well, they've got a drive ahead of them. We're several hours away from them. But that was a wonderful treat to get to sit and talk with him, and I did some videos with him. So be watching on his channel. I believe he's going to be posting those maybe in a few days. We'll see. But overall, it was just an excellent event, and we are definitely making plans for next year. We're looking looking at very possibly hosting this next year at the county fairgrounds. In fact, the board that runs the county fairgrounds has already contacted me and asked that I consider using the county fairgrounds next year. So that's something that we are certainly looking into. But you know, don't feel bad if you missed it, because we understand how those things go. But we have monthly meetings, so if you live in our area, you're welcome to attend our monthly meetings. It's at that same location, and then we'll be planning this again in the future. So I wanted to talk about these train derailments and train crashes. If you remember a week or so ago, and I can't remember exactly when, I should have checked, but I didn't. There was a train derailment up in Canada, and 43 train cars filled with potash derailed. And I never did see any word of how much of it was completely lost, but based on the video evidence, there was a lot of potash that was spilled all over the place. And for those of you that may not know, potash is a key thing for fertilizer, and we're dealing with fertilizer shortages and price increases right now because of all this stuff that's going on, and it's making farming a little bit more difficult, and it's most likely going to increase the price of doing business. So that happened. And we talked about that, of how important that is, that here we have, and I can't remember the exact number, but I think it was somewhere around 5,500 tons of potash on that train. And who knows how much of it was lost. Like I said, if you saw the videos or pictures, it looked like quite a bit was just spilled all over the place. Well, there's been more train derailments, folks. Now, I want to make it clear that I'm not absolutely stating that there's a conspiracy going on here. Kind of in the same way that I said that I wasn't going to necessarily say there was a conspiracy going on with all these food production plants and facilities and food warehouses that were just randomly burning to the ground, which it's still happening. I saw there was another one just the other day. But now we have trains. Trains derail and crash. I mean, that's normal, and I haven't done the math yet or the research to figure out if the amount that's happened just in the last few days is a normal amount, but trains are pretty much one of the safest ways to move around, and so I find it quite unusual that within about a 7-day period of time, there were several train derailments in this country and of other countries. And pretty much every one of those trains had some kind of item on it that is, you know, in short supply right now. We had a train here. This one was in, I believe it was in Pennsylvania, somewhere in Pittsburgh, carrying crude oil, and it derailed. Here's another one. This one is in Nebraska, and I believe this one was hauling coal, and it derailed. And then there was this other one here. This one was in Ohio, and the one in Ohio had some chemicals and automobiles and other goods that are just, you know, being moved around. So there's 3 more train derailments along with the one in Canada. And then we have this one here. This one's in Spain. This one here in Spain was carrying potash, just like the train up in Canada, and it derailed. Now, those are all just within about a 7-8 day period that we have these trains derailing and spilling most, if not all, of their shipments. And you gotta wonder if there's something to this. I mean, maybe there are really coincidences. But I'll be honest with you, and I've said this so many times, I believe in coincidences less and less. It's quite possible that there is some kind of orchestrated effort in this. Even if it's not, even if this is just random chance that's happening, it is putting more and more cracks in the system. Now you might say, well, one single train doesn't hold enough to cause the whole system to come to a crashing halt. No, it doesn't, and I'm not saying that it does, but it's no different than that one stuck ship in the Suez Canal that we had a couple of years ago. That one ship wasn't carrying enough to shut down the whole supply chain, but it put some damage to it, And just like that train derailment up in Canada, I mean, that one train isn't carrying enough potash to affect the entire fertilizer economy, the fertilizer market, but it is quite a bit, and I'm sure it is affecting it somewhat. And then we have another one in Spain, and then we have a coal train derailment, and then we have a crude oil derailment, and who knows what else might happen. When these happen, they certainly affect the system. We're seeing effects in food. We're seeing recalls. I believe there was a recall recently from on peanut butter. We're seeing gas prices go up. I think it was this morning I saw that gas prices have hit a new all-time high, and they're just expected to keep going up. What does all this mean? Well, it means we're living in times that are very uncertain. And that's the most gentle and nicest way I could put it, that we're living in very uncertain times. Even on the best case scenario, folks, and I really believe this with all my heart. I'm not trying to hype something up so that I can sell you something or get you to watch more videos. I truly, with all my heart, believe that the very best case scenario isn't a good one. Best case scenario is that we're going to experience inflation, probably at least in the levels which we already are of back in the 1970s. We'll probably experience fuel shortages like in the 1970s. We'll probably experience diesel shortages like we've never seen before. We'll see prices quite high, and it will make it difficult for people to purchase the foods that they need. And then in the more developing world on this planet, it's going to cause chaos and havoc. Now, that's the best case scenario. Worst case scenario, we're going to start seeing collapses of civilization. We're going to start to see governments collapse. Sierra Leone, I believe, Sri Lanka is one that we're already seeing that. We're watching the stages of a collapse of their government happen. And in a worst case scenario, we as Americans could follow that path. I know many of you believe that America is too big and too mighty and too strong to ever fall. But I'm telling you folks, that's not the case. I mean, there was once upon a time a nation or an empire called Rome, and it was the largest empire the world had ever seen, and they collapsed too. And followed a similar, we're following a similar path to what they did, in not every way, but in some similarities to it. So regardless of whether you're the more, belief the more moderate, that, this is a hiccup in time, or whether you believe that we are experiencing the days of Noah, the end times, and we're watching things fall apart, either one, you need to be stocking up. Either one, you need to be preparing. Either one, you need to be becoming as self-sufficient as possible. That's really the big key. Preparedness, I say this so many times, it's not just stocking up on food. I mean, that's a small portion of it. Preparedness is becoming self-sufficient to where you don't need those systems that could collapse in bad times. That's what you're doing. You're building yourself, your family, your home, your community to a point that when those systems start to falter or collapse, regardless of whether it's a tornado or an ice storm or high inflation or just an apocalyptic situation, you are able to survive it because you're not so heavily dependent upon all these systems around you. So folks, get your houses in order. Get yourself as self-sufficient as possible. Build connections with others. One of the things that we talked about a lot over the last 2 days at the Expo, or Thursday and Friday at the Expo, was that we're trying to build a network of communities. And that community can just be your family. That community can be you and 3 or 4 other families together. It can be, a larger group. And that's exactly what we're doing. We're reaching out to other kind of prepping groups all over, just so that we can network, okay? We're not trying to form one big, conglomerate of things. We're just trying to network with them. And this is really important with the things that we're facing right now, because I just don't see it getting any better for quite a while. folks, prepare yourselves mentally, physically, and spiritually. That is extremely important. You know, it's a whole body and spirit preparedness, because the things that are happening, it's way more than throwing a few extra cans in your pantry. It's something that you really need to be fully prepared for that. All right, folks, thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.